I look dressed up because it's Eid today and I do not know when else to film this week's video, so here we are. Am I going to read these books by the end of this year or even get to buy them? Probably not, but we're still doing this. Hello everyone, welcome back, or welcome if you're new. My name is Damla and we talk about books on here. Today I thought it would be really fun to talk about some books that are coming out in the second half of this year, 2024, that I'm really excited for. I'm just going to do this chronologically. Let me check how many there are. I've tried to do find as many as I can, but especially in the latter months of the year, it was really hard to find books. Or at least books that are coming out then, and also books that I think would be fun to read. We are talking about 13 books today, which I know is not really a lucky number, but you know. On July 1st, Daughters of Olympus by Hannah M. Lynn is coming out. I think I saw someone I follow on Instagram read this book. They received an arc of it and they really enjoyed it. It is a retelling of the story of Hades and Persephone, but from what I've heard, it's in some ways better than the traditional ones that we see of it. I know that the retellings are maybe a little overdone, not just even Greek retellings or Hades and Persephone ones, but also the ones for well-known fairy tales and things like that. But I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of like them. So yeah, again, that is Daughters of Olympus by Hannah M. Lynn, coming out on July 1st this year. Next up, on July 9th, we have A Thousand Times Before by Asha Tonki, coming out on July 9th. Did I say July 9th? I may have said that twice in that sentence. Anyway. I'm going to read the description of this book to give you an idea of what it's like, because, you know, with retellings, I can kind of give you an idea of what to expect. With other books that aren't retellings, that's a little more difficult, so I'm just reading the description out loud so that you know what it's about. A heartrending family saga following 3 generations of women connected by a fantastic tapestry through which they inherit the experiences of those that lived before them, sweeping readers from partition-era India to modern-day Brooklyn. Ayukta is finally sitting down with her wife Nadia to respond to a question she's long avoided. Should they have a child? The decision is complicated by a secret her family has kept for centuries, one that Ayukta will be the first to share with someone outside their bloodline. The women in her family inherit a mysterious tapestry through which each generation can experience the memories of those who came before her. Ayukta invites Nadia into this lineage, carrying her through its past. She relives her grandmother Amla's life. Once a happy child in Karachi, Amla migrates to Gujarat during partition, witnessing violence and laws that forever shape her approach to marriage and motherhood. Amla's daughter, Arni, bears this weight in her own blood in 1974, when gender equity and urban class distinctions divide the community as a bold student movement takes hold. As Ayukta unspools these generations of women, whole decades of love, loss, heartbreak, and revival, she reveals the tapestry's second gift, the ability for each of these women to dramatically reshape their own worlds. Like all power, both fantastic and societal, this inheritance is more treacherous than it seems. What would it mean to impart an impossible burden, to withhold these incredible gifts, sweeping, deeply felt, and intergenerational? I read The Wedding Dress by Danielle Steele, which was also a generational story in some way, and I really didn't like that book. I don't think it was because I don't like intergenerational stories. In fact, I think as a concept, it sounds super interesting. In that case, my issue was with the book and the writing. I did not like that book. I think it's my lowest rated book of this year so far. I gave it 2.5 or 2 stars, something like that. So I'm really excited for that, and just, I don't know, I'm very interested to see how this story unfolds. Will I be able to read it this year? I don't know. Also, the cover of it is very pretty. I'm going to check the genre of it real quick, by the way. It's magical realism, it says here. So yeah, that's another book coming out in July that I am very excited about. Then we have The Reckoning of Roku by Rhonda Rebay, coming out on July 23rd this year. So, this is a book about... Okay, let me start over. So, this is for my people that really like Avatar: The Last Airbender, because this is supposed to be, I think, like a part of a duology where we follow Avatar Roku, who is the Avatar that was the Avatar before Avatar Aang, and I'm very interested in that. We had 2 other previous duologies. I don't know if it's the same writer. I don't think so, but I'm not sure. We had a duology for Yang Cheng, and we had a duology for Kyoshi. Why did I forget her name? How can I? Anyway, I haven't read those, but I'm really excited to. I've seen very differing opinions on like the 2 that are out already. Like, most people seem to really enjoy Kyoshi's book, and people, like, when it comes to Yang Chen's book, it's a little bit on the fence at times. And Roku, I'm just overall really excited. I think also because it will tie into the events that take place in Avatar: The Last Airbender as well, so I'm interested to see that, and maybe if it explains, maybe not explains, but you know, goes into some events that are discussed in the show or will happen during the show. And yeah, I'm just really excited for that. I hope my fellow Avatar: The Last Airbender fans are excited as well. On to August. On August 13th, we have Under the Surface by Diana Urban coming out. This is a young adult, I think it's just a young adult, I don't think it's fantasy. I have to look this up real quick. An epic survival thriller about 4 teens who get lost in the Paris catacombs for days, a gripping and propulsive story of love, danger, betrayal, and hope. Even when all seems lost, Ruby is terrified to cave to her feelings for Sean and risk him crushing her heart. Sean is pumped to spend a week with Ruby in Paris on their senior class trip, and he'll wait however long until she's ready to take things further. But when Ruby's best friend sneaks out the first night to meet a mysterious French boy, Ruby goes after her with 2 classmates, but caves to another temptation. Attending Mystery Boy's exclusive party in the Paris catacombs, the intricate web of tunnels beneath the city, home to 6 million long-dead Parisians. Only they never reach the party. Underground, as something sinister chases them, they get lost in the endless maze of bones, uncovering dark secrets about the catacombs and each other. And if they can't find a way out, they'll die in the dark beneath the City of Lights. Above ground, Sean races to find the girl he loves as a media frenzy over the 4 missing teens begins. I don't know, this just sounded really cool to me. I don't know, I feel like the catacombs in Paris is one of those things that I don't really know that much about, but I know every time I hear about it, I'm like, kind of creepy, but very interesting. So just, yeah, I'm very excited about that. Next up, on August 20th, we have There Are Rivers in the Sky by Elif Shafak coming out on August 20th. Why did I say it like that? Anyway, so her work is, I've been wanting to read her books already, because honestly, this is gonna sound weird. I'm Turkish, and my Turkish is not great. And I've been thinking about using reading to improve it. And I mentioned Elif Shafak to my mom actually, and she was like, oh yeah, you can maybe read some of her stuff. And I don't know, I would be a little intimidated, I think, because I don't know how good my Turkish is when it comes to reading Turkish literature. But anyway, that's how I stumbled across her work, and so far, it seems fun. I haven't read anything yet, but I am in for the ride. You know what? I'm just going to read the description of this book because I for the life of me sometimes cannot figure out genres of books. Ahem. In the ancient city of Nineveh, on the bank of the river Tigris, King Ashurbanipal of Mesopotamia, erudite but ruthless, built a great library that would crumble with the end of his reign. From its ruins, however, emerged a poem, the Epic of Gilgamesh, that would infuse the existence of 2 rivers and bind together 3 lives. In 1840 London, Arthur is born beside the stinking, sewage-filled River Thames. With an abusive, alcoholic father and a mentally ill mother, Arthur's only chance of escaping destitution is his brilliant memory. When his gift earns him a spot as an apprentice at a leading publisher, Arthur's world opens up far beyond the slums, and one book in particular catches his interest, Nineveh and its Remains. In 2014 Turkey, Nadine, a 10-year-old Yazidi girl, is diagnosed with a rare disorder that will soon cause her to go deaf. Before that happens, her grandmother is determined to baptize her in a sacred Iraqi temple. But with the rising presence of ISIS and the destruction of the family's ancestral lands along the Tigris, Nadine is running out of time. In 2018 London, the newly divorced Salika, a hydrologist, moved into a houseboat on the Thames to escape her husband. Orphaned and raised by her wealthy uncle, Salika has made the decision to take her own life in 1 month until a curious book about her homeland changes everything. I don't know if this is going to be a pattern, but we have at least two, not intergenerational stories, but stories that sort of, you get the vibe, I hope. I'm not gonna explain. Anyway, it sounds very interesting. Another book that I'm really excited for its release, and we'll see if I actually will get to reading it ever. Another book that is coming out on August 20th this year is Romancing on Jeju by Hyunju Park and translated by Paige Morris. So this is a Korean novel, and I actually read the arc of this. I rated it 4 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed this. The way that I can best describe it, I think, is romance, but also mystery. I will just read what it's about, or I will just read out loud the description of this book, and maybe that will give you an idea. Romy is an illustrator and hopeless romantic. When she can't stop obsessing over a brief encounter with a handsome stranger, there's just one thing: to hop on the plane and find him. But Romy's not leaving without her 2 best friends. Hadam, a budding filmmaker, suggests the trip in the first place. Facing her fear of failure, she envisions Romy's search for love as the perfect subject for her first documentary, and Chakyong, marketing pro, sees a chance to build a new ad campaign for her cosmetics client. Plus, get some quality me time to figure out why she's secretly so unhappy. The journey from Seoul to Jeju Island goes off without a hitch. The emerald waterfalls and sandy beaches are a balm to the trio's souls. But then misunderstandings, mistaken identities, and a mysterious stalker stir up trouble in paradise. Will a conspiracy to nab a legendary queen bee keep these friends from discovering real love and purpose? I have read this already, but I'm just looking forward to its release, I guess. Then we are on to September. In September, there are actually 4 books that I'm excited about. First, we have Us in Ruins by Rachel Moore, coming out on September 3rd, 2024. I actually came across this book on Instagram because I saw the cover and I thought it looked absolutely gorgeous and just really pretty. That's not the only thing that draws me in when I'm looking for a book to read, of course, but it piqued my interest. I was like, this cover looks interesting and it feels like it's telling me something and I need to know more. So this is a young adult book and I will just read the book description. Margot is on the quest to uncover and reassemble an ancient and cursed vase with the help of a boy who went missing in 1933, because it's the only way to put back together her broken heart in the standalone adventure rom-com. The mythical vase of Venus Aurelia hasn't been seen since 1932, but Margot Rhodes is determined to change that. Drawn by the vase's supposed magical properties, Margot embarks on her school's archaeological trip to Pompeii. Sure, it's her first time holding a shovel, but she's got something no one else does. Lost teenage explorer Van Keen's journal. Poring over the poetic entries that serve as a map to the vase's missing shards, Margot finds herself falling in love with the boy who wrote it a century ago. She's shocked when her search leads to a statue that looks exactly like Van, and then the statue comes to life. Catapulted into the present, Van is nothing like the wordsmith Margot imagined. He's all sharp edges, intent on retrieving the relic for all the wrong reasons. But it takes 2 to survive Venus's death, defying challenges, and, together, Margot and Van must excavate the treasure in their buried pasts before their story ends in ruins. Firstly, the cover intrigued me, but then I also got to reading the description before I added it to books I want to get into, or before I was like, this is a book I want to keep my eye on. And Pompeii is another of those things that I'm just super interested in. I've actually been there in 2019, I think it was, on a school trip. We went to Italy and visited Pompeii for a day, which I will say, one day is not enough to go through that city. It is so beautiful and so intriguing. And Rome is one of those places where I would go back again if I could. And I don't always say that about vacation destinations. This is one of those rare instances where I'm like, I would go again and I will go to Pompeii again, and this time maybe over 2 or 3 days. But anyway, then we have coming out on September 10th, A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sengu Mandana. This is a fantasy novel, and yeah, I forgot. This is actually written by the same author that made The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, another book that, well, I have seen it. I'm not sure if I would read it or like if I had it on my radar already, but you know, just a fun little thing. Same author that wrote that. And let me just read what it's about. Sarah Swan was once one of the most powerful witches in Britain. Then she resurrected her great aunt Jasmine from the very recently dead, lost most of her magic, befriended a semi-villainous talking fox, and was exiled from her magical guild. Now she, slightly reluctantly and a bit grumpy, helps Aunt Jasmine run an inn in Lancashire, where she deals with her quirky guests' shenanigans, tries to keep the talking fox in check, and longs for the magical future she lost. When she learns about an old spellbook that could hold the secret to restoring her power, she finds herself turning to Luke Larson, a gorgeous and icy historian who might be the only person who can help her unlock the book's mysteries. The fact that he also happens to be her one-night stand from years ago is totally irrelevant. Running an inn, reclaiming its lost magic, and trying not to fall in love is a love for anyone. But Sarah is about to discover that she doesn't have to do it alone, and that the weird, wonderful family she's made might be the best magic of all. This just sounds fun. Like one of those... You know, sometimes I just want a book to have some fun. And I don't know if this can be classified as cozy fantasy, but in my head it's sort of in that area at the very least, where I'm just like, let me have a good time. I can appreciate like fantasy with a lot of world building and a lot of action going on when I'm like in the mood for it, but there's also times where I'm like, give me something more lighthearted, and just this seems very fun. Then on the same day, September 10th, we have Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune coming out, and I'm really excited for that one because I'm actually currently reading the first book in this series / duology, The House in the Cerulean Sea, and I am almost done, and I just know that I have to read the sequel of this one. So this is a fantasy. I maybe you can, is it fantasy? Maybe more like, is it magical realism? Maybe? Wait, let me check. I have to check because I would say it's, I mean, fantasy. Maybe magical realism also is not the word for it, I think. I'm not good at genres, as you can probably tell. Okay, you know what? We're just going to say fantasy. I can't say a lot about the second book in terms of like, I mean, I'm very excited for it, and I really am enjoying the first book, and I really like how it's written, so I'm only expecting it to be better in book 2, and maybe that's not good, but I don't know. So some of the description is going to give you some spoilers for book 1, so maybe skip the description of this book if you do not want to be spoiled in that sense, just so you know. A magical house, a secret past, a summons that could change everything. Arthur Parnassus lives a good life built on the ashes of a bad one. He's the master of a strange orphanage on a distant and peculiar island, and he hopes to soon be the adoptive father to the 6 dangerous and magical children who live there. Arthur works hard and loves with his whole heart, so none of the children ever feel the neglect and pain that he once felt as an orphan on that very same island so long ago. He is not alone. Joining him is the love of his life, Linus Baker, a former caseworker in the department in charge of magical youth, and there's the island sprite, Zoe Chapelwhite, and her girlfriend, Mayor Helen Webb. Together, they will do anything to protect the children. But when Arthur is summoned to make a public statement about his dark past, he finds himself at the helm of a fight for the future that his family and all magical people deserve. And when a new magical child hopes to join them on their island home, one who finds power in calling himself a monster, a name that Arthur worked so hard to protect his children from, Arthur knows they're at a breaking point. Their family will either grow stronger than ever or fall apart. Welcome back to Mercia's Island. This is Arthur's story. I'm just excited for this one. I think especially if you're like well versed in social issues, I guess you can call it, you can kind of see the parallels, but I think that's a good thing really, and I really like the messaging of the book, and just yeah, I had a great time. I'm having a great time reading it, and I'm excited for the sequel. Next up, we are going into October, and on October 8th, we have S.K. Ali's debut in science fiction called Fledgling, The Keeper's Records of Revolution. I haven't read her books yet, but I have been eyeing them for a while, so when I found out that this is coming out, and it's coming out on my birthday, I'm very tempted to pre-order it, but I feel like once I start pre-ordering books, that just becomes dangerous. As for what it's about, here we go. Ryza of Upper Earth has only lived a life of privilege and acquiescence. Ever dutiful, she accepts her father's arrangement of her marriage to Lane, crown prince of the corrupt, volatile lands of Lower Earth. Though Lane is a stranger, Ryza knows the wedding will unite their vastly different worlds in a pact of peace. The infusion of Upper Earth technology into Lower Earth will usher in the final age of enlightenment, ending war between humans forever. Or is justice more urgent? Newly released from imprisonment, Nada of Lower Earth has found her own calling, disrupting the royal wedding. Convinced her cousin, Lane's alliance with Upper Earth will launch an invasive, terrifying form of tyranny, Nada sets out undercover to light the spark of revolution. When Ryza goes missing a week before the wedding, all eyes turn to the rebels, including Knife, Nada's twin brother, a fugitive on the run. And when Knife and Ryza meet, the long-simmering animosity they feel toward each other's worlds slowly burns away into something unexpected. But the Crown Prince wants his bride and future back, and he will go to the ends of the earths to reclaim them. This just sounds really good. I can't wait. That's all I have to say. Another book that I'm really excited for is Until We Shatter by Kate Dillon, coming out on October 17th this year. I actually got approved for the arc of this, which makes me really excited because it's actually going to be my next read that I will be reading after I finish The House in the Cerulean Sea. This is a young adult fantasy. I'm also seeing it being defined as urban fantasy, which is really cool. I haven't read a lot of urban fantasy. A desperate thief, an impossible heist, survive or shatter. No matter where she goes, Kemi's life is under threat. The church would see her killed for having any magic. The Council of Shades wants her dead for not having enough. So when her mother falls ill, Kemi has no choice but to turn thief. And when she's offered a job that could solve all her problems, it's impossible to resist. The catch? Kemi will have to work with Chase, beautiful, dangerous, and full of secrets, to steal a powerful relic the church has hidden within a deadly realm of shadows. If she succeeds, Kemi will finally be safe. But if she's caught, she risks igniting a spark that could destroy the city and everyone inside. So we're getting a heist. I'm seeing a lot of people, as soon as we were talking about a heist, compared to Six of Crows, and I just don't want to do that because Six of Crows was very good and just very good in its own way, and I don't want to compare other books to it, so I'm staying away from those comparisons. And I also have noticed that when that happens, when people make those comparisons, they feel a little disappointed because, yeah, you're expecting Six of Crows. I'm not saying that it's not possible to get that same vibe of it. I'm not a fan of the whole like, oh, this book meets this, or fans of this book will like this. I kind of get it, but I also don't really enjoy it. Now we're already on to our last books. I didn't find anything for December, which makes me really sad, but I did find one book for November that I'm really excited for, which is Rani Chuduri Must Die by Adiba Jaigirdar.
Hi, I completely butchered the title, so I'm redoing it. It's Rani Chaudhary Must Die. That's the title.
Coming out on November 12th. This is a young adult contemporary. I have read Hani and Issu's Guide to Fake Dating by the same author, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm also excited for this one. Meghna Raman is tired of constantly being compared to her infuriating, perfect ex-best friend, now rival. Everyone, except at least her boyfriend Zach, seems to think that Rani Chuduri can do no wrong, even her own parents. It doesn't help that Rani is always accepted into the Young Scientist exhibition, while Meghna's projects never make it. But this year, she finally has a chance at defeating Rani in something. Rani Chaudhary is tired of feeling like she doesn't have much say in her life, not when it comes to how her mom wants her to look and act, or how her parents encourage her to date incredibly charming close family friend Zach. She would much rather focus on her coding, especially once she places high enough at the Young Scientist exhibition to go on to the European Young Science exhibition when there's a period missing there. When Mecna and Ronnie figure out that Zack has been playing them both, they decide to do something no one would ever see coming. They team up. They'll compete in the EYSC as partners, creating an app that exposes cheaters and a project that exposes Zack. But with years of silence and pressure between them, working together will prove difficult, especially once each girl starts to realize that the feelings they had for the other may have been more than platonic. Hey, no one ever said science was easy. So yeah, another book that I'm really excited about that just sounds like a good time, which we all need, I think. I think that's all of the books that I have noted down right now that I am looking forward to this year. If you have any books that you are looking forward to in the second half of 2024, feel free to let me know, because I probably shouldn't, but I really like adding more books to my want to read list and just to my TBR in general. So if there's anything out there, just let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. If you want to see more videos from me, maybe subscribe. Feel free to comment as well. And you can follow me on my socials. I have Instagram, I have Twitter, and Goodreads and Storygraph, although I will say I'm not that active on Storygraph. It's hard to use both Goodreads and Storygraph at the same time, I'm not gonna lie. But you can still follow me on there if you want. I think that's everything. I hope you have a lovely day. Please take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!